back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, January the 25th, 2023. Jersey Jenny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Monsieur Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gents.
Hi. Bonsoir.
How are you on this fine evening? This overall orange evening for me.
Orange? What are you drinking? Snapple?
No, it's
what's that? Fanta?
It's a vitamin water. Fanta.
Orange Crush?
Orange. It's actually it's a tropical mango vitamin water.
That always.
Yeah, I traded in the blue for orange.
Okay.
So I think you can figure out what that meant.
What was blue? Mouthwash?
Giants.
Oh.
All right.
Well, yeah, you're never going to get
knee high.
Knee high.
You'd be drinking a knee high.
Right, exactly. Actually, I'd be drinking blue Gatorade. I'd do that.
Blue, the stuff that they clean the combs with at the barbers.
Speaking of
Barbasol.
Barbicide.
Speaking of Barbicide. Yeah. Speaking of blowing, we'll get to the Giants in a little bit. But anyway, how was your weekend? How was both of you? Either or first is fine.
It was fine because it's just not dictated by what teenage millionaires do on the playing field.
I see what you mean. I see where you went there. Gotcha. Pete, yours?
It was good. Drove to Hartford for
some
college audition for the boy. And,
oh, right, you were going there. That's right. You were. I remember that. I do listen sometimes.
They're going to bring the Whalers back. One of the best logos of all time.
Great
After
logo.
that, I don't remember anything.
Yeah. That's the logo of Hartford, isn't it? We used to have the Whalers.
Right. Welcome to Hartford. The Whalers used to play here.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a bus with the Whalers name on it, and it's driving away.
That's right.
You see like the second half of it, and it's got those action lines.
It's a great logo, even if it was a little. It was like the Seattle Seahawks, but aquatic.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where the Whalers went?
That was the next question I was going to ask. I think they went to. They definitely did not go to New Haven. They
no, they did not go to New Haven.
I think the Hartford Whalers went to Minnesota. Did they not?
They did not. They did not. They went south.
Okay. Carolina?
That would be correct.
Carolina. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The Whalers got breezy.
From Hartford to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Charlotte?
Yeah, well, it's the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, but they play in North Carolina.
They play in North Carolina and Charlotte. Yeah. They play in, I believe they play in the same arena as the what's that team? I don't know, Hornets. Mm-hmm.
Bugsy Mogs. Yeah.
Bugsy Moes. Yeah.
I think that's the last Hornet I could remember. Him and Larry Johnson.
Well, yeah, Grandmama was there too. So yeah,
that's right.
For a bit.
Didn't Alonzo Mourning start there?
He did. You're absolutely right. But all three of them were going back 30 years. So. It's a bit. So anyway,
name a Charlotte Hornet that plays right now.
What's his name? What's his name?
So you could remember the backup punter of the 76 Jets, but you can't name a Charlotte Hornet.
That's correct. I try not to pay attention outside of the teams that are topical.
That's
you really don't get much Hornet news in New York,
because Hornet news in Charlotte,
That's true too, right?
Are they? I think they're the worst team, right?
I believe they're in that area.
Yeah. Michael Jordan has proven that, with the exception of Larry Bird, most great players do not make great executives.
Right. This is true. Very, very true. Anyway, All right. Let's kick this fucker off. Question for both of you. Not question. I'll just tell you. Yesterday, voting for this year's.
It's like the McLaughlin report now. Question? No, fuck it. Here's the answer.
I'm just going to tell you the answer.
You don't really know the answer anyway, so I'm just going to tell you.
Wrong.
Wrong. Pretty much. Anyway. Yeah, that's pretty right. Anyway, well, voting for this year's class of inductees into the Baseball Hall of Pretty Good was completed yesterday.
Okay.
All right. Scott Rowland, who played 17 seasons in the majors for the Phillies, Cardinals, Blue Jays, and the Reds, was the only one inducted this year, confirming that he was this year's only former player that was pretty good enough.
Okay. Explain your sarcasm. Is it do you think the guidelines are too low, or did not enough people get in? What's your take?
No, I think that I don't think the guidelines are too low. I think there are players like, for instance, and it's way past them getting in at this point.
We don't need to have somebody come in every year.
No, that's true. Well, that's my point, right? Why? Here, let me read you the voting. All right, let me read you this.
Who was up for inductions?
Okay.
Who didn't make it?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you right now.
I know. Well,
all right. Let me put this up right here. Are the names? Scott Rowland was the only one. You had to get 75% or more of the votes, right? He got 76.3, so he just squeaked in. All right, and it was his 6th year. All right.
Yeah.
Todd Helton, who I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame slightly more than Scott Rowland, only got 72.2%.
Well, way more than Scott Rowland. Yeah.
Well, I was being sarcastic.
He'll probably go in.
Right. So are we waiting for the 6th year or later? Like he can't get in the 5th year? Because this was Helton's 5th year.
This is the issue. Go ahead, and then I'll tell you about the issue with Todd Helton.
And then of course Billy Wagner. If we're putting relievers in now, Billy Wagner, I think belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Isn't he first or second all time in saves?
Yeah. So you might want to put him in at some point. He only got 68.1% in his 8th year of eligibility. So
no, was there any? There's nothing hanging over these guys like a piss test or anything like that, right? No,
just the the baseball writers don't like him as much as I guess they like Scott Rowland.
Well, think about Rowland played in bigger markets than those other two.
Okay.
For the most part.
All right. Well, fair enough. Let's go that route. Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's go that route. So Rowland played in bigger markets than Todd Helton and Billy Wagner. Granted, Todd Helton was out in Colorado. I get it. But Billy Wagner at one point was playing in New York.
Right. But I think, what team is he most known for? And it was before they were on the radar. That was before they were on the radar.
Before they were Houston today, of course.
Now, granted, Houston's a big market, but before this current crop of Houston Astros, the last Houston Astro you heard of was J.R. Richards, and before that it was Nolan Ryan.
Right.
So you just didn't hear about them because there just wasn't a lot.
You heard about, Craig Biggio and
again, I'm sure Biggio is a perfect example of somebody, and I think Biggio is in the Hall of Fame, but he's probably somebody who should have went in a lot sooner than he did.
He did, right?
With a much higher percentage of the vote. Here's the thing with Todd Helton. There's two things. Number one, he plays in Colorado. Number two, he plays in Colorado. Right. So the first part of that is that baseball people just don't pay attention to what's going on in
Colorado,
in Denver.
Right.
The second part is they think that everybody that plays in Denver, his numbers are raised by 30 points because of playing for the Rockies, which is utter nonsense. So
your defense improves because the air's lighter.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that if you were to list the 30 best first basemen of all time, Todd Helton would be on that list. Well, the other 29, excluding current players, are probably in the Hall of Fame.
Well, and that's where I was going with what we were saying too. Talk about bigger markets and talk about that, and then we're referring about first baseman, right? Do you think Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I do.
Is Don Mattingly in the Hall of Fame?
No.
No. Do you think Keith Hernandez belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Is Keith Hernandez in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Right. I actually had a back and forth with a couple of people in a group today discussing this, in a sports group today discussing this. And I was told by several people, ready for this? This is
Mm-hmm.
great. Listen to this. Their reasoning for this being correct is that there are so many good first basemen in baseball history, and there's very few third basemen that were really good in baseball history. So we can't put everybody that was playing first base in, but we have to put somebody that was playing third base in. That's the reasoning for Scott Rowland to go.
Well, let's look at Helton. And I would argue, but I know some people, I mean, look, Mattingly never won a World Series. He went to the playoffs, once? Hernandez did win. He had a much bigger postseason resume than either Mattingly or
one of the
Helton.
Best defensive first basemen of all time, won an MVP, won a World Series, won Gold Gloves, won
right. Well, what I'm saying is that
not in the Hall of Fame. Ridiculous that Keith Hernandez is not in Cooperstown.
Yeah, and that's like saying there's better shooting guards in the NBA in the Hall of Fame than there were power forwards. So it doesn't make any sense. You should go in on your merits, regardless of what position you played. Mm-hmm. But
but that's a position that, like, those people that you were arguing with, do they have anything to do with Hall of Fame balloting? Do they?
Not at all. Most of them.
Do they get a vote? Are they sports writers? Yeah,
no.
They're just a bunch of people.
They're a bunch of people that like Scott Rowland. Yeah, exactly.
So that logic is absolutely stupid and should be just completely discounted. And you don't have to.
Okay, so I was laughing while I was arguing with.
So here's Todd Helton and Keith Hernandez. This is how I think they're sort of justifying all of this. Mm-hmm. Okay, they have almost the same amount of at bats. Todd Helton has more runs, more hits, more doubles, less triples, almost double the amount of home runs, and almost 400 more RBIs. His batting average is 20 points higher. Mm-hmm. His slugging percentage is almost 103 points higher. His OPS was 953 compared to 821. Okay, and he was also, I think, a 5-time Gold Glove, one of the best. Now, if you look at those numbers for both of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, Hernandez, a 296 career batting average, a slugging percentage of 436. Todd Helton's slugging is 539 with an OPS of 953.
And that's where I was going with this to begin with. As much as it's a sin that Keith Hernandez is not in the Hall of Fame, it's even more of a sin that Todd Helton is not getting the votes and Scott Rowland did.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's one Rocky that's played primarily as a Rocky that is in the Hall of Fame.
I think you're right. I don't think
and so. Todd Helton, I don't care who you are, if you're a casual sports fan and you look at it just with any sort of clear head, Todd Helton's the best Rocky of all time. Mm-hmm. He's played the longest. He's contributed the most to the team. He did it. And look, I think how you carry yourself usually endears yourself to the voters in the Hall of Fame. There is not a better example of what these writers are looking for in how somebody conducts themselves than Todd Helton. Mm-hmm. No one.
You're absolutely right. Right. There is. It's absolutely absurd that after 5 years of eligibility, Todd Helton has not gotten into the Hall of Fame. And to compound that ridiculousness, Scott Rowland, all due respect to the man, Scott Rowland did get in this year.
Right.
That's it's insane.
And the other thing too is that those numbers are great if he played 8 seasons. Mm-hmm. He played 17.
Right, exactly.
All for the same team.
Mm-hmm. Scott Rowland played for 4 different teams. He played for the Phillies, the Blue Jays, the Reds, and the Cardinals. Yeah.
I think if Todd Helton,
but Helton played in Colorado.
He did.
Well, then there you go. He's out. Why they should not have even given Colorado a baseball franchise if they're going to look at it, if they're just going to just completely disregard them.
Yeah, look, either that's a total myth or it's a partial myth that has been greatly exaggerated and it's in people's minds.
Well, I think there was 1 or 2 years where Colorado, they were trying to combat it by keeping the balls in the humidor, but those were also the years when the ball was flying out everywhere. So I would say that those were the McGuire, Sosa, steroid years too. By the way,
the other thing you have to put into the mix here is that, speaking of steroids, there's some steroids guys who aren't getting in, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Look at some of those names and what did they get? How much? What was the percentage for like A-Rod, this year?
So A-Rod was in his second year of eligibility this year. He got 35.7% of the vote.
That's just the vote. That's just the voters being assholes. Because you can argue that.
But
Alex
my point
Rodriguez
is, those guys are not going in,
right?
And so that is right or wrong, and obviously wrong. I don't think Scott Rowland belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's certainly a good player. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
And hence why I said the Hall of pretty good.
Yeah, I think they want to put somebody in, and can't just be somebody from the Veterans Committee. Mm-hmm. So they go with, and we're not going to put those steroids guys in, and we're not going to put any Rockies in because the air is thin, and they probably didn't do their research. Some of them did do their research and really look at the numbers and investigate. And so you end up with Scott Rowland.
So the rest of the top 8, if you will, A-Rod was on the bottom of that with 35.7%. Going down after Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones in his 6th year of eligibility got 58.1%. Gary Sheffield in his 9th year of eligibility, so he's got one left, 55%. Beltran in his first year got 46.5%. And Jeff Kent, out 10th year of eligibility, only got 46.5%.
All right, so let's read that list again. So Kent, Sheffield, Beltran, and
Andrew Jones and A-Rod.
Andrew Jones. Forget about A-Rod because he obviously belongs.
And then Billy Wagner and Todd Helton.
All right, so we'll take Wagner out. Helton definitely goes in. So amongst Andrew Jones, Beltran, Sheffield, and who's the other one?
Jeff Kent.
Mm-hmm. Any of those guys deserve to go?
I mean, I think Kent is up there, but Helton's clearly the best. I mean, if you compare,
right? No, I'm saying out of that group, right?
I don't know. I can't tell.
I think Beltran gets in.
I think Beltran probably deserves it the most.
Yeah, I mean, A-Rod deserves it too, but he's not going to have.
No, I mean, amongst those four,
out of the ones you just mentioned,
the ones I just mentioned
should go in. Billy Wagner should go in. Todd Helton should go in.
Right. Out of those 4 guys, Carlos Beltran probably deserves it the most.
Yeah, amongst the also-rans.
Todd Helton beats Scott Rowland in every category by, a pretty clear margin. And I think Beltran. I don't know about Beltran. Maybe. I think he had some really good years. How many years did Beltran actually? Let me look it up real quick.
He played a lot of years.
Yeah, he was around longer than you think. That's for sure. Yeah,
Cardinals, Mets, Astros, and Yankees.
Yeah, he was around for almost 20 years, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that can be, looked at as a sense of durability, but you can also look at that as well. How much of his numbers are like compiling,
right?
Right. Even Bond said that if you stay around long enough, you're going to put up numbers if you're even halfway decent. So.
I mean, if you comparably look at Beltran compared to Rowland, Beltran's numbers are better. His average is a little lower, but his RBIs, home runs, slugging, everything else is either equal to or greater than. So, in fact,
what's the other thing too?
He also has some baggage too, and it's first year, right?
It's his first year, yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely not a first year Hall of Famer.
No, I didn't expect him to go in this year. No.
So I mean they want to put somebody in. So,
well, why couldn't somebody be Todd Helton?
It should have been.
It should have been Todd Helton or Billy Wagner or both.
Todd
Helton and Billy Wagner deserve to go in. Look, there was a 5th and 8th years respectively. They should have both went in over Scott Rowland.
This is an organization that does not have Thurman Munson in it,
right?
So they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame is just on its way to being a joke. More and more each year,
and I feel like there's more. It just seems like it's not. You're not comparing anybody to anything. It's sort of like a little game of are you going to vote for me for class president type of thing?
It should be not only a Hall of Pretty Good, but Hall of Good Friends of the Baseball Writers.
Right. And oh, by the way, if there
are players that were friendly to the baseball writers,
if there are that many good first basemen, then somebody who stands out or equal amongst them should get in. I'm not saying Scott Rowland shouldn't get in. What I'm saying is that Todd Helton's a better player than Scott Rowland. I think it's pretty undeniable.
So what these guys were actually saying were Keith Hernandez
Who's these guys?
could be in this group, in this Major League Baseball group that we're going back and forth with. But
okay, so this isn't people who voted.
The band of idiots.
Band of idiots. Right,
it's just a bunch of fucking assholes.
But yeah, no, they definitely were saying that even basically they were confirming that Keith Hernandez, yes, while having better numbers than Scott Rowland and basically on paper deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than Scott Rowland because there are so many more better, greater first basemen and very few third basemen. He should get in because of that reason, and Keith Hernandez shouldn't because of the other reason. You know,
well,
ridiculously asinine argument.
And I would say Hernandez probably deserves a nod before Mattingly. You know,
right.
I don't know.
Well, Hernandez clearly played a lot longer than Mattingly did.
Right,
I think it's
Mattingly, right.
Hernandez came up in 74 and he played till 90, 91.
Yeah, he played 16 years.
Yeah.
17
years. Knock on Mattingly, right? It's the he just didn't have the longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I still think he played.
He had back problems. He had to stay. If he doesn't, we all know first of all, he would have. If it wasn't for the strike, Mattingly would have gotten his World Series ring in '94, because the Yankees would have just torn up. Yeah, he would have. They would have won. I mean,
Don Larson didn't play very long either.
Right. But if you look at it that way, had the strike not happened and the Yankees went to the World Series and won that year, Buck Showalter probably doesn't leave after next year, so you don't have Joe Torre, and then that could be all different. So things happen, whatever. But whatever. In any event, it's another story for another day. But in any event, Scott Rowland's in, and he's the only one. That's it. So
good for him.
There you go. All right. That's pretty much all I got in baseball. You guys have anything on?
The Mets signed Tommy Pham.
Mets signed Tommy Pham. Look at that.
I mean,
they
Mattingly played for 14 years. Not to back up the conversation, 14 years I think is enough of a. It's enough
of a sample size to get him into the Hall of Fame.
That's a pretty good career.
Right.
He had five insanely good years and then pretty decent ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He still played more often than Kawhi Leonard does. So.
This is true.
That's true. So the Mets signed Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham, yep. So congrats, Tommy Pham. Now we got three left fielders. So, in any event,
well, someone has to
look to the burrow to your left, and we can certainly use one. You want Aaron Hicks?
No, I don't want Aaron Hicks. I'd rather a ham sandwich.
All right, well,
so would you. But
throw that into.
Let's talk a little bit about team out west. Those California, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Disneyland.
Angels of the land of Disney.
Formerly owned by, and then, I'm going to sell them, and now, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Artie Moreno says he's going to keep the team, and there's work to be done, or something like that, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So here's the question. Who gets Shohei Ohtani when he leaves after this year?
The Mets.
That's the Yankees.
Mets.
The Mets get him? Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's going to go to the Mets.
I can't imagine he's going to stay there.
Yeah, he's not.
I mean, Moreno's owned the team for like 20 years. I think they've been to the playoffs once, right? And maybe Mike Trout is happy to be the best player in baseball, playing and living in obscurity. Maybe that's fine with him. I don't think that's Ohtani's makeup.
No, that's for sure. But I mean, all signs point to that. Obviously, Steve Cohen's going to give him the most money. He's gonna be able to do the most with in the Mets organization with all of that. And to top it off, and the icing on the cake there is Billy Epler was the one that got him to be signed with the Angels in the first place. So
don't count out the Dodgers. Don't count out the Cubs.
Right.
The Red
I was going to
Sox.
say the only other team I think that could make a case for him is the Dodgers, and that's only if there's a slight part of him that really likes California, right where he is.
I'd stay with the Dodgers. I'd go to the Dodgers over the Mets or Yankees, to be honest with you.
No,
the Dodgers
depends on what the Mets look like this year. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say
the Mets have an audition for Shohei Ohtani this year, right?
Well, listen, the last 2 years have been a bit of a disappointment. So, but that's something that he's going to probably look at and have to consider. Sure. I mean, it's not, look, the Dodgers have a winning history, but their postseason struggles are, well, maybe Ohtani is the difference maker, right?
Yep.
But they certainly, I mean, it's not like they only had one or two good guys. They've been stocked with talent, and sometimes one and sometimes not.
Well,
true of many teams.
This year, there was a number of teams that were probably better than the teams that got past that first round of idiotic playoff setup that was Major League Baseball this year. So, yeah, I mean, look, the Dodgers have always done that, but I mean, are the Yankees and Mets any better?
No, they're not.
Yeah. So, and
in more ways than one,
right?
They're not any better.
Yeah, there's only one of those three teams that has recently won a World Series.
Exactly.
That would be correct.
Huh.
And have gotten there more than that too. So, but
yeah, I the Mets probably are a better fit. But the Yankees, I don't know what the Yankees are doing. Do they really want to pay the best people to play for them? Kinda. Not really. No. After re-signing Judge, I don't think the Yankees are going to lay out what they need to lay out. Now, having said that, I think that if the Mets do it, that might mean some of the other players that are currently on the Mets that they've dealt out big money for might not still be around. Because while he has deep pockets, there's Ohtani's going to want a major contract. It's going to be the highest contract in the history of baseball.
Mm-hmm. And
but you got to go to. He's two players in one. That's the thing.
He's two players in one until he turns, a couple years older and can't do it anymore.
Well, but that's fine. That's your window for winning right there, right?
I hope so.
3-4 more years with him. Even if he's not one of the top, whatever, 10 or 12 or 15 pitchers,
Right, and he may not be playing defense when he's not pitching, but he'll certainly be DHing. So, I mean, there's an extended window of his bat,
right,
without him going out in the field, when he's not pitching. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, obviously, the minute he landed in Anaheim, there's been talks of him being traded. Two seconds after he got there.
Well, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, did anyone think the Angels were going to suddenly turn it on?
Right.
Because they got Ohtani? No, they're just going to let him waste away.
Well, I mean, the fact that they
do with Trout.
They were able to sign him and, what they did with Trout. I mean, there was a moment there where they were putting money into their team. It just seems like the management of it
just
has
put it
not
into two guys.
Well, the management of it hasn't been great,
No, it hasn't.
You could put the two best base. You could put Babe Ruth and Ted Williams on a team of average players, and the team's not going to win.
Or what the Yankees currently have, you could just take a not as good either of them, pay him a shit ton of money, and then have 8 other guys who suck.
Right. This is true.
There's a lot of teams like that. I would say the Dodgers. Look, the Dodgers. You can't blame the Dodgers front office for their lack of success last year in the playoffs. They put a great team on the field. They just didn't win. I'll ride along with what the Dodgers have been doing. I think that I think other than the Mets, they're probably, the Astros do it in a different way because they seem to always have somebody coming up that's able to fill in the hole when they lose a star. The Dodgers are able to kind of keep them and fill in with free agents. And I mean, I don't know. I can't really complain about what the Dodgers. If I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm pretty happy with where their ownership is.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move on from baseball.
All right, I think, and we didn't put the baseball background up. We left the football. I'll just leave the football up because we're going to football now. I don't care.
Yeah, baseball hasn't started yet.
Exactly. All right,
we'll get a background into your starting.
Exactly.
It's a good way to rope everybody in, though, is with things no one gives a shit about.
Apparently, these guys did today. But anyway, all right, moving on to football.
On your forum? Is it a WordPress?
Oh no, there was many people weighing in. There was.
Well, it's a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. So, all Okay, so let's move on to football. Let's talk about some of these games this past weekend. Let's start with the Giants. What a horrible showing.
Did you expect anything different?
I didn't.
It's exactly what I expected.
I'll be honest with you, and I said this before. I was hoping that something could happen where they could win, but I really didn't in reality think they were going to be able to win unless the Eagles weren't up to the game. Like Hurts was still hurt and one of those couple of offensive linemen, so forth and so on. But short of that, no, I didn't really in reality expect them to win. But I did think, based on their current play in the last several weeks, I expected them to play better than they did. You know,
they played a much better team.
They of course they did. They played a much better team. You knew that. I mean, the talent level was apples and oranges, and we knew this, right? But the way the Giants had been playing and gelling, I expected there to be a little bit more competition. Yeah. Just maybe only one score or 9 points or 10.
Look, the Giants
going into halftime, and then
the Giants exceeded all sorts of expectations.
Of course. But
I don't think the Giants lacked motivation. I think they were a little confused, and I think Philly exposed the Giants, which other teams haven't been able to do. I mean, look, the Giants played Philly. It was kind of a weird game. The Giants weren't playing their starters. Philly was hurt, and people were just coming back. You knew that a healthy Philadelphia team, which they kind of are right now, are a much better team than the Giants. And the Giants really weren't dealing with any major injuries. They beat Minnesota, which we all thought they would, and they did. Yeah. And I did not think that they would come close to beating Philly.
Well, let me ask you like this. Let me ask you like this. You think the outcome or the result and the type of play from both teams was what was expected out of the Giants playing the Eagles this past Saturday?
For me, yes.
Okay. Hold that thought. If the Vikings had edged out the Giants, the game was played the way it was, but for some reason the Vikings, at the end had a quick score and an onside kick and bing bang boom, they won the game, right?
Yeah. And
they went and played the Eagles.
Same thing.
The Eagles would have kicked the crap out of Minnesota the same way.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Fair enough.
I think that I think Minnesota was a bit of a sham. And I think the Giants were a great story, but it's matchups. The Giants can match up against certain teams. They didn't really look. The Giants were fortunate enough to play a bunch of teams in the beginning of the season that were not on their game. They also, what looked like a tough schedule, wound up being not as tough as it could have been. Having said that, the Giants exceeded all sorts of expectations and won 10 games this year. So, Coach of the Year, without a doubt, to Daboll, it's a no-brainer. I don't think there's any argument for anybody else in that realm.
He's been
based on what we were all even saying in the beginning of the year, Philly just has that much more talent, and it seemed as if the Giants were also kind of outcoached. They didn't have much of a great game plan on offense, and their defense was exploited early and often for what it is. So, props to the Eagles. I think they're the best team in the NFC. And there's a reason why they were 13-1 going into week 15. So, or 16 or whatever it was. But the score was obviously pretty lopsided. The game was kind of over pretty early. I think I'm glad the Giants didn't get shut out. They at least scored. I don't think they stopped playing. I don't think it was an embarrassment by any means. But they certainly were not the better team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you, your opinion. Towards the end of the second quarter, the Eagles had just scored. First of all, before I say this, let me just say, I think the Giants weren't winning the game. I get it. But I think the wheels came off when Daboll, not only when Daboll decided to go, and I'm not frowning on him for this because he was trying to be, trying to motivate. But the wheels came off when Daboll went for it on 4th and 8. All right. And gave the Eagles the ball in Giants territory. And more so than that, didn't run the ball on third down and let Daniel Jones roll out, or maybe it was a broken play, but didn't run the ball in the first place. And Daniel Jones lost 5 yards to make it 4th and 8 because it was 3-3. Run the ball, even if you only get a yard, now it's only 4th and 2, not 4th and 8.
Yeah, right? bad calling there, and I thought they should have punted.
Yeah, but you're right. They definitely should have punted. Right.
That was a big turnover. That was a big turning point in the game.
And 3 plays later, they went right down, and it was 14-0. But fast forward to the end of the second quarter, the Eagles have just scored their 4th touchdown. They're up 27-0, and Nick Sirianni lines them up to go for 2 and to draw them off sides to get a yard closer, so he can get a little bit easier attempt and make it. Why do you need 2 there? It's quite obvious to everybody watching the game everywhere that it's highly unlikely that the Giants are going to come back from being down 28-0 at the half, and you're going for 2.
The reason it's just they have a card. It tells them the score. It tells them the differential, and that's what you do. It's that simple.
But on that card, there's no way on that card it says if you're up 27-0, go for 2.
Well, what it says on there is who fucking cares? That's what
it says on there is I'm going to shove it up the Giants' ass is what I'm going to do. That's what it says.
I think they just wanted to practice in case they have to go for 2 later in the next game.
Maybe they were looking at Dallas's field goal kicker. I don't know.
All right. Hold on one second. Jim Magarelli says, but if the Vikings won, the Eagles would have faced the Cowboys and the Vikings versus the 49ers. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah. I was just making a point with the Vikings playing the Eagles because the Giants had played the Vikings.
So the Eagles would have destroyed the Cowboys, and the 49ers
would have destroyed the Vikings. And we'd have the same championship game that we're having this Sunday. So
yeah.
But you're right, Jim. Absolutely right. And so there you go. But in that event, it is what it is. So Giants, good season, lot to build on. Have a few holes. They have 10 names or 18 actually, but 10 names on this list of players that are unrestricted free agents. And I'm just going to read them to you really quick. And I want you guys, I'm going to just do this really quick. I want you to tell me. I'm going to say a name. You say
birthdays. We need to tell you their birthdays.
Their favorite film.
Okay.
All right. Now, Sammy, both of you.
Earn run average in high school.
We'll make this quick. We'll weigh in right away. Keep them or let them walk. Keep them or let them walk. Just say keep them, let them walk. One or the other. Ready? Start. Daniel Jones.
Well, yeah, let him walk. Sorry.
Keep them.
All right.
He'll make a good backup.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Saquon Barkley.
Let him go.
Yeah, he's a running back. Let him go.
Right. He did nothing in the postseason.
John Feliciano. Center.
I thought he had a pretty decent year. I mean,
a great year.
Yeah, he's a youngish guy. I think you keep him.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important
sure
position.
Nick Gates, guard.
Yeah, I think Gates. I mean, a lot of the offensive linemen are kind of like, how much are you gonna have to pay him?
Right.
And it's not easy to get free agent offensive linemen, and it takes, I think, a couple of years for offensive linemen to meet a certain level out of the draft.
Right.
So,
all right.
Keep him.
All right. Darius Slayton, wide receiver.
Other than that drop, I thought Slayton actually had a pretty good end of the year. Again, it all depends on what you need, what his value is going to be on the open market.
We've talked about this, and you've said it many times. The Giants have always drafted wide receivers well.
Right.
When it came time to pay them, let them go. Next man up. So
I think Slayton might be one of these guys who's willing. I think he likes playing for the Giants.
A lot of guys have said that though.
And I think the Giants like him. And if they're going to keep Daniel Jones, which they're going to do, I think those guys have a pretty good relationship. I think they'll re-sign Slayton. I don't think it'll be a long-term deal, but I think they'll re-sign.
Gotcha. That's on offense. Here's 5 names on defense. Justin Ellis, defensive tackle.
How old is he?
26.
Yeah. I mean, again, yeah. As long as he's not going to cost you the farm, then yeah.
Tackle Nick Williams.
Yeah, Williams had a pretty good year. I mean, their whole offensive or defensive line, they're pretty good, other than the Eagles game.
Yeah, the Eagles game, right? Pete.
Yeah, keep him.
Yeah, keep him. Outside linebacker Oshani Jimenez.
I don't know. I don't know enough to make it.
His name is too hard to pronounce.
Outside linebackers are kind of like running backs now. It's like, what do they even play anymore?
Right. Yeah, your defensive ends are the ones that are
right.
Strong safety Tony Jefferson.
Nah.
I think, but free safety Julian Love.
Love was pretty good.
Love had a great year.
Yeah, keep the love.
He had the most tackles on the team.
And it's hard to find a safety like him. So there, I think he might, out of anybody on this list, might be the most important person.
I agree. I would agree with that. All right. That's we've talked about that. I agree with you 100%. Brian Daboll should be coach of the year. And I think he will be. You look at a lot of these posts in here, and I went in another group a week or so ago, went back and forth with what turned out to be Eagles fans. Shocker. And they were like, there's no way Daboll is coach of the year. Look what Sirianni has did with the Eagles this year. I'm like, yeah, you know what? No offense to Nick Sirianni, but any of us could have coached the Eagles to most of those wins this year.
I think Sirianni's right there. I think he's right there.
I think he is too. But
because look, you can have a great team and turn it. You can have gold, right? And turn it into silver,
right?
Cowboys fans. Or you can shine it and turn it into. I just think with what Daboll started with, and coming into the scenario that he did, again, a lot of it was sort of fortuitous timing. Sure. But I think the Giants, and had they not turned the corner after that little dip in the latter part of the season, I don't think I would have given it to Daboll. But I think he handled himself and this team really well. I think the big question for the Giants is, they're going to keep Daniel Jones. I mean, it's not even worth asking that question.
Yeah.
The big question is really, are they going to re-sign Saquon? I think that's really the biggest question in the Giants offseason. I like Saquon. Again, I don't know where he sits. He's had some really great games. How much longer do you have a top-notch Saquon Barkley? And has he really deserved – to me, he hasn't deserved to be a no-question re-sign.
Well, you know what, though? He was one of the best running backs in the entire league this year. Great. So, I mean, there's that. But like you said, that the running backs are running backs. And like other people were saying too, like a number one wide receiver, right? There were like 6 lockdown number one wide receivers, not even in the playoffs. So, and the Giants with no-name wide receivers were.
I think Saquon was the second best running back on the Giants.
Daniel Jones was the first one.
Yeah, maybe Saquon could play quarterback, and Daniel Jones can line up in the backfield.
There you go, and that has happened actually a couple times this year. So, and Jim, just to throw that up, Jim Magarelli said, "Gotcha." Yes, thanks, Jim. Appreciate you watching. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about a couple other games. Let's talk about the 40.
I'm just going to say I think Doug Peterson should be coach of the year.
You know what? He's right up there.
Yeah.
Do they do one for each conference, or is it just the whole league?
Well, they did the 101 something or other came out with theirs, and they did make Brian Daboll coach of the year, and I believe they actually did make
Peterson is AFC coach, so they do it by conference.
Conference, yeah. So they do it, yeah. So
I think Peterson's a no-brainer. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, what that program was and all that crap that it went through.
Sure.
Oh, but I will say this: what's his name? The coach for Cincinnati. He's done a great job.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So
I put Dan Campbell up there too.
Hell yeah, Dan Campbell's done a really good job up in Detroit.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah. So they continue this. They continue what they did at the end of the year next year, and best with the 91.
They could be the next Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
They try really hard.
Exactly. So,
only willing to bite your kneecaps off.
Jeff
the Vikings are.
Jeff Goff is the new.
Jared. Yeah.
Jared Goff.
So All right. Let's talk 49ers Dallas briefly. Let's start, Pete. What were your takes on that game?
All right, here's the story. Dak Prescott has to go. I mean, that is to say, he's not the guy. He's just not the guy.
You're certainly not the only one that feels that way.
Is McCarthy
not the guy?
No.
And McCarthy has to go too.
He does.
He's just terrible. He makes too many mistakes. That both of them in critical positions at critical times. That's it.
Now, would you like them both to come to the Jets?
That being said,
no.
Okay.
No. Look, the Cowboys have a pretty good D. They've got some nice skill players. If Zeke is done or he's only going to be half of what Zeke was, fine. You got Pollard.
That was horrible. Pollard's ankle.
Dak's got what, 5 years left on his contract?
15, I think.
Who's going to take on that contract?
Well, somebody.
I mean, the Jets would.
Mm-hmm.
I think
maybe the Raiders will.
Yeah, something like the Raiders, or if
maybe the Bucks will.
If Lamar leaves Baltimore, maybe.
True.
Maybe he goes there. So
there's a lot of teams that are quarterbacks moving around this year. So
yeah, and look, maybe it takes another couple of years or whatever, and he blossoms and stops making those kind of mistakes. Mm-hmm. But should the Cowboys wait anymore? No, I think they've invested enough time, and it's time to move on. Now, having said that,
but who are they going to get?
Terry Jones, right? So
who was their backup this year that filled in for Dak and everybody got excited for a game?
Was it Mike White?
No, it's Mike White. It's Chad Powers.
Chad Darnold.
Chad Darnold, Pennington.
Chad White.
The third.
Chad Pennington, White, Darnold, Todd.
Yep.
Whatever. Anyway, couple things just to point out really quick. And I say them, some of them tongue in cheek, but it's true. Listen, here we go. The Cowboys have now lost 7 straight divisional round games. Mm-hmm. Divisional round games. That's the longest streak in NFL history. Mm-hmm. All right. So that
it's Cooper Rush. Sorry,
Cooper Rush. That's it. Cooper.
Well, you know what?
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
Cooper Rush.
You give him a shot, to fight for the job in training camp.
I mean, that's like the only name that could be better than Cooper Rush would be like Brock Cannon,
Not Brock Purdy.
No, like Rock Cannon.
Cannon. There you go. All right. Rock Cannon. That'd be great. Please. That'd be great. Anyway, okay. One other thing. I'm going to throw this up really quick right here. Max Kellerman actually tweeted this out the other day.
Is he still around?
Yeah, I'm going to throw this up really quick. Read this with me, right? Congratulations to the Cowboys on one of their best seasons in over a quarter century. They got as far as the Giants, who are in year 1 of a rebuild. So,
yeah. Well, look, here's the 49ers are a better team. I will say this is, I think everybody, I knew that the 49ers were going to beat the Cowboys. I think if they didn't, I think the Cowboys had a chance, obviously, to win this game, and the 49ers certainly kept the Cowboys in this game. Here's my one takeaway from this game. Brock Purdy holds on to the ball too long and needs to learn to get rid of it. He showed his rookie stripes against the Cowboys. He showed his inexperience, I think, for the first time because he had to throw as many times as he did.
And he did show his inner Kent Tekulve.
That's right. That too. A little sidearm
action
slider. Look, the 49ers, they're such a strange team in the way that they are composed. I felt like they should have won that game by more, and yet at the same time, it was like they were just.
I think they were toying with the Cowboys.
Chance to tie the game.
It was like that one commercial with the almost had it, almost had it, just toying with them. Yeah. But
I really thought Dallas was going to kick a field goal at the end, just to say they scored,
just to screw up the betting line.
Yeah,
that's because they would have. That's it.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, all right. One other thing I want to tell you this. Let this sink in for a second here. Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts was not born the last time the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game. So that means that Jalen Hurts was born, grew up, learned how to play football, went to high school and played football.
Well, we know how.
Played football in Alabama, transferred to Oklahoma, sat behind
his first venereal disease.
Right. Played in the playoffs, went another year, and obviously going to the NFC Championship game before Dallas got back there. So,
yeah, but I mean, look, you could say that about a lot of teams
in
pro sports. I can't talk. I'm a fucking Knicks fan.
Very true. Very true.
Well, you can still talk shit about the Cowboys,
right? But I think the Cowboys are what the Cowboys are. They're a good team. That's in the middle of the pack in the NFC. They don't have a total rebuild to do. I think that they're lacking in identity on offense.
I think that might be actually their problem because they've really never had a total rebuild to do. So they've always been in the middle of the pack, and they get a couple of players, and it fluctuates right in here. If they stripped it down, which they're never going to do because Jerry Jones is not going to do that. You stripped it all the way down and rebuilt it from the ground up. Who knows?
But no, because the problem they've had, though, is quarterbacks who make mistakes in critical situations. Yeah. You got Dak, you had Romo before him.
But a lot of teams have that.
Yes, but that's the missing piece.
Other than Phil, Phil and Sarah, they've had three quarterbacks, three longer term quarterbacks since Troy Aikman, and that was obviously Drew Bledsoe, Tony Romo, and Dak Prescott, and all three of them are virtually the same quarterback, right?
Right.
So yeah,
and they were all. I mean, so we'll see how long a leash Dak gets, but they certainly were given a certain amount of time and didn't produce. Yet they hung around.
Right.
They weren't good enough to get the team over the hump.
All right, so you say you want to get rid of Dak Prescott. I mean, I think he's probably top 15, 16 quarterback. I mean, so there's a few that are better than him. There's only one, I think, maybe two that are going to be. I mean, do you really think Lamar Jackson's going to go to Dallas?
No.
I mean, what are you going to go get, Jared Goff? Or I don't know who's available. Who's that? What is Tom Brady going to have to play one more year with Dallas?
I don't know.
I mean, it's. Who? I mean, he's a top. I
didn't even think about that, but that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They have some good receivers. They have, their offensive line is not as good as it has been in years past. And I think the litmus test being against the 49ers, who are a very, very creative and athletic defense. I mean, one of those interceptions is a pretty incredible play. The fact of the matter is, though, that who the fuck was Dak throwing it even? I mean, if you're going to throw it out of bounds, throw it out of bounds. If not, the only two people that could have caught that ball were two 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and listen, not to mention the previous month before the wild card week, right?
Right.
He was terrible. Then he had a great game. And everybody went, "Oh yeah, he's fine. He's back. It's Dak.
He's the Kirk Cousins of Texas,
pretty much."
Yeah. So
there's a lot. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of quarterbacks like that.
Right. But you may not find the guy next year who's going to lead.
Maybe Cooper Rush's.
Maybe it's Cooper Rush, or maybe it's somebody else, or maybe finagle something in the draft or whatever.
Hmm.
But my point is, it's not Dak. We need to accept the fact that it's not Dak.
But I think you're going to have a couple more years of Dak before you find out.
You probably are.
Yeah. On that note, whatchamacallit, there was a meme out right after the game, and it said, Dak Prescott in frustration after the loss on Sunday night threw his helmet in disgust. It was intercepted.
Yeah.
So,
hilarious.
There you go. But hey, I just read the memes. I don't write them. So I will say one thing about Tony Romo. I'm going to go back to that. He was obviously what you call calling one of the games, and was it the
Buffalo game?
The Buffalo game, the Buffalo Cincy game.
He called a pass, both a forward pass and a fumble.
Yeah, he said he had to slow up to catch the ball, and then immediately after saying that was a perfectly thrown ball, right? Then before that, he said,
well, yeah, because the guy was running too fast.
It was a forward pass and a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfectly thrown. The guy was running too fast. That's why he had to slow up.
Right. The
ball was where it was supposed to be.
The guy ran.
The receiver was not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny how Dallas fans are in love with Tony Romo again. Tony Romo is the George W. Bush of football. It's like he's only loved because of who followed him.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, he's usually a pretty good analyst. Like, he knows what's going on, but he doesn't always talk so good.
Right. Not so much.
But listen, let me throw this at you.
Go for it.
You might have heard this already. Hopefully not. Brock Purdy of them Niners, a rookie QB, obviously going to a conference championship. It's a rather short list. How many guys have done it, including Purdy? 5.
Oh, that many? Okay.
5, yeah.
Including Purdy, 5.
Ken, you want to take some guesses?
Kent Colby.
Did not make the conference.
Rookies that went to a championship game.
Rookies that went to a championship
conference
game.
Championship, yeah.
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino. No.
No.
Yeah.
I thought Marino did.
I'll give it. I'll give you the years.
Okay. Go ahead.
Because some of them are all right. 1999.
99. NFC or AFC?
That'd be NFC.
NFC.
Yeah.
99.
I'll give you the team.
Kurt Warner.
No. Tampa Bay. The Bucks.
99.
This is a
Tampa
tough
Bay.
one.
Brad Johnson.
No.
Nope.
What's his name? Yeah. I could picture the guy. I don't know.
Crap.
He's like a first round draft, like one top 2 or 3 pick in the draft.
Nope.
No.
Go ahead.
Tell us.
Sean King.
Sean
King.
Not who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay. Round 2, pick 50, lost 11-6 to the Rams. All right. 2004. Rookie.
2004 rookie.
First round pick.
2004. We're going back now.
Top 15 pick.
Interesting.
Chad Pennington. Mark Sanchez.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger, that's right.
And I was not looking. I was not looking. I just want you to see. I was not.
Round 1, pick 11. Lost 41-27 to the Patriots.
Yep.
All right. 2008.
2008.
Boom, 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 boom. 2008.
2008. Okay, then it wasn't Kurt Warner.
First round, top 20 pick was not Kurt Warner.
It was not Ben Roethlisberger, and
this quarterback and his team did lose to the Steelers.
That's what I'm saying. So who did they play? They played the Ravens, right?
That's right.
That's
Joe
right.
Flacco.
Yeah. And most recently,
wait, Joe Flacco was a rookie in 2008.
Yeah.
Fuck. God, he looks like hammered hell now. That makes me feel so old.
You were thinking 98, right?
I was thinking 88.
and then most recently, before Brock Purdy, 2009, pick number 5 in the draft.
2009.
AFC.
So,
Mark
Sanchez.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez.
I said Sanchez before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. That's right. He was one of them. He was one of them. All right, so you get a point for that.
There you
go. Lost 30-17 to the Colts. So
there you go.
0-4.
0-4. So Brock
QBs
on Brock's shoulders.
It's going to be on 5.
Any San Francisco fans, weigh in if you think your team's going to win. Let's hear it. Anyway, I got one for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jalen Hurts played for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
True.
True. Right. Jalen Hurts is the first. Jalen Hurts is the first Alabama quarterback to win a playoff game since who?
In the pros? Win a playoff game in the pros?
Win a playoff game in the NFL. Jalen Hurts is the first Alabama quarterback to win a playoff game in the NFL since who?
It's been a long time.
Since I rock and rolled. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who could it
That's
be?
a good one. I don't know. Trying to think of the ones I can think of. I know probably have not won a playoff game.
Was it Frosty McKinnon?
It was not Frosty McKinnon.
Well, how about Pegleg Johnson?
And Baby Hands Johnson.
Toddler Hands.
Toddler
Anderson.
Todd Helton.
It was the cousin of Baby Hands.
It was Todd Helton. Yeah.
Todd Helton.
I'll give you the.
Let me ask you this question: was he on the Giants?
No.
Okay.
I'll give you the year if you want to know the year.
Because I know my Alabama quarterbacks.
Okay, yeah. Tell me the year.
It was the 1982 season.
82.
It's been that long. It's been 40 years.
Ken Stabler.
No. Ken Stabler was.
He was still around in 82, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he was, but I think he didn't. I don't think he won after that, so it was not him. Who could it be?
I don't know.
All right.
82. I don't even know. If you gave me the team, I would know.
I'll give you the conference.
Conference, huh?
Right. AFC.
Is it the Broncos?
Yep.
And it was 80.
It was the 82 season.
82 season.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Todd.
Was Richard Todd.
See, I was thinking, wasn't Jeff Rutledge also from Alabama? Weren't they like didn't they play together or something like that?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, Richard Todd, he won the wild card game, won the divisional game, lost to Miami in the AFC Championship.
So he was the second Jets quarterback from Alabama.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. So yeah, Richard Todd.
That's a long time ago.
In the 83 playoffs, lost in the AFC Championship game, but
what's his name? Shula's kid, wasn't he from Alabama?
Matt Shula,
Mike
Shula.
Mike. Yeah, I don't think he won a playoff game though.
I don't think so.
Was he the Shula that played for the Broncos? Was that Mike Shula? I can't remember.
Maybe. No.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got Jim Magarelli, a Niners fan, weighed in. He says 28-26 Niners. That's his call. 28-26 Niners. We'll mark that down, Jim. We'll mark that down.
I hope you're right.
When we do beaten by the coin later.
I hope you're right. I think you're wrong.
Hoping and being right or wrong are obviously two different things, but hopefully he is right. So 28-26 Niners is what Jim Magarelli is saying. Okay. Quick speaking of Richard Todd and the Jets, really quick.
This is how you really rope fans in, but I'm talking about the Richard Todd years.
Well, no,
there's been way too much Richard Todd talk.
I want to quickly. Well, I'm not talking about Richard Todd, but I'm just talking about the Jets. I want to mention the other two games this weekend briefly, and then we'll move on from football and do beaten by the coin. But I just want to say this about the Jets. I ask your opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about who's going to be quarterbacking the Jets next year.
None of it's reality.
None of it's reality.
I'll tell you who's going to be quarterbacking the Jets next year.
Who's going to be quarterbacking the Jets next year?
Mike White, Chad, whatever his name is.
Chad Pennington, Chad Powers.
No, the Zach Wilson.
Chad Wilson.
Chad Wilson, Chad Bono.
Yeah.
Chaz Bono. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You think there's any possibility, because Woody Johnson said he's willing to spend a pretty penny on a quarterback. Do you think there's any truth that there's any possible way that Aaron Rodgers comes to the Jets?
Aaron Rodgers he just likes the attention of these weird podcasters where he can sit in his t-shirt and let everybody think he's going to leave Green Bay again. He's not leaving Green Bay. He's not going to pull a Brett Favre and go to the Jets.
I think you're right. I don't believe so. But Pete, your opinion as a Jets fan.
I don't care.
As a defeatist Jets fan, I don't care. I don't care.
It's kind of like
I hope not. I hope not. Let's spend the money on.
It's kind of like asking a Knicks fan, like after Michael Jordan played 6 years with the Wizards. There's talk of Jordan coming to the Knicks. What do you think?
Yeah.
Of course, now.
True story. Anyway, all right. And they're looking for a new offensive coordinator. And names that have come up, actually.
I'll do it.
Names have come up. Well, I think there is an offensive coordinator that actually worked under Todd Bowles last year that's now available. So, that could be a possibility. But we'll see what happens with that. All right. Really quick about the other two games. Did you think that the Bengals were going to beat the Bills?
Yeah. Absolutely. My boy, Joey B.
Mm-hmm. Pete, did you? I know what you bet in beaten by the coin. But in reality, did you think?
Yeah. Yes.
But I know why you bet what you bet and how you bet it and why you bet it with beaten by the coin too. So that's why I was asking you. And as far as the, I think we're all in agreement. Did anybody see the Kansas City Jacksonville game going any differently?
Kansas City did not look like world beaters though.
It didn't.
No, well,
Jacksonville hung around that game for a long time.
Yeah,
and I think the big question,
Mahomes hurt himself, so that was part of it too.
The big question going into this week is, how healthy is Patrick Mahomes? I mean, that's really the one big question mark, right? I mean, we know that where Hurts is. Mm-hmm. We know Brock Purdy's pretty good, and he's not hurt. I mean, there's no other question marks really.
Well,
quarterback-wise,
throw a question mark in there. If Mahomes isn't 100% and either can't play or can't play every snap, did you see what Chad Henne did on Saturday?
Yeah, Chad Henne looked great, and he's
I mean,
he might be the Jets quarterback next year.
There you go. So, anyway, all right.
Yeah, I mean, if I were gonna pick, I thought depending on how hurt Jalen Hurts was, which apparently wasn't that badly hurt. Mm-hmm. I might have picked the Giants for the upset, legitimately, and then if Dak could be the good Dak, I thought Dallas had a chance against San Francisco, but he was not the good Dak, and that was in large part because of San Francisco's defense, which isn't number one by accident. So, right. I think Hurts is just fine. That could be a hell of a game.
Yeah, both these games are going to be great.
Both these games are going to be very good. Very good. And speaking of that, do we want to do beaten by the coin now?
Sure.
Or
yeah. Oh well, just two quick things. Patriots getting smart, bringing Bill O'Brien back to New England. He's their new offensive coordinator. Matt Patricia is out. The defensive-minded Matt Patricia.
Defensive-minded offensive coordinator.
Is he? Yeah. He's not off the Patriots. Is he?
Is he being reassigned?
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe. So at least somebody came to their senses in New England. So that's good for the Jets.
Yeah, right.
Thanks. Another.
I mean, the Patriots still won how many games without an offensive coordinator?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's true.
Not enough, but still, yeah. The other thing is condolences to the Pagula family. I think it's Bill and whatever his wife's name is are the owners of the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they, lost. Mm-hmm. And Jessica Pagula is a very, very good tennis player, number 3 seed at the Australian Open. Mm-hmm. And she was upset, I believe, Monday by Victoria Azarenka, who is a former number 1, actually, and won a few tournaments. But it was still kind of a gasp in the tennis world because Pegula was projected to be a potential winner of this thing.
Gotcha.
So Bills lose. Daughter loses, gets ousted from the Australian Open. Oh, I think she's still in the. I think she plays doubles with Coco Gauff, so they're still in it. They're pretty much destroying everyone. But out of the singles,
they're all still rich. So
yeah. So we should. It was my point is we should feel bad for them because boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo.
The Bills are out, and little Jessica won't have a shot at the title in the Australian, the singles.
Well, it's the first major of the year for that. She can do something.
She's got other chances.
She's got other chances. Wimbledon, U.S. Open, French Open, a lot of them. So, all right. Whatchamacallit? On that note, we'll do Beaten by the Coin.
Beaten by the Coin.
Beaten by the Coin.
Yeah.
By the
Thank
coin.
you, StreamYard, for your top-notch
by the coin.
technical. Oh. Nope. Still don't get to hear the whole thing, though.
I don't know why.
I spoke too soon.
You did.
that's fine. Anything we could do to cut this thing.
All right. So, in an attempt to liven things up, one which I must admit
Pete took pity on me this week.
slightly disappointed.
Unbelievable.
And so
I have to say,
we're tied, but I just want to make a caveat saying, at very best, Pete is up by 2. Very worse. He's up by 2.
My gambit to make things interesting worked to perfection. So Harry made his picks, and I picked all the opposites. And to be honest, given this year, I thought one of these, because I consider these all to be upsets, right? Jacksonville, the Giants, all right, Buffalo, Cincinnati, you can say that's a toss-up. Dallas, underdog, right? All underdogs. Mm-hmm. I figured one of them would hit, but they didn't. So we went into it. I was up by 4.
Well, Cincinnati was an underdog. Since he was
an underdog, yeah.
Yeah, according to Vegas, right? But
they were an underdog. They were on they were in Buffalo.
But I mean, still, I would have. In my mind, they were the team that was more likely to win. But anyway, so now Harry and I are tied.
But not
the
really.
coin went 2 and 2. John, I don't even remember who you picked.
I went 3 and 1. I picked the Chiefs, the Giants, the Bengals. I picked everybody, but I picked every other one except the Giants.
So 60 and.
So Pete's won. We're just making it interesting. 54.
So Harry and I are still tied.
Pete's the champion.
Yeah, I stomped you guys. Although, I might have, honestly, like I said, I don't know if I would have picked Dallas. I might have picked I think I would have picked the Giants if I were.
I think you would have picked Dallas too, probably.
I might. Either way. Anyway,
you would have picked Dallas. You definitely would have picked Dallas.
Yeah, I probably would have. I know I should have. Prime's going to be really mad at me.
Prime's out here now, man. He doesn't care.
I know, that's the thing. He's out in Colorado. I don't think he's coming for Memorial Day cookout.
Yeah,
it's a long way.
Long shot. Yeah.
Well, you get to go first this week.
All right, so we have so Harry and I are in the fantasy league tied. Mm-hmm. So
we've all been doing pretty good in these playoff rounds.
What's your record?
Right? I mean, we've all been really good at these playoffs.
42.
72 and 42.
Yeah.
So you guys are both 12 games ahead of me.
Yes. And you're now 10 games. 10 games.
So now,
Superman can spin the world backwards. You can
let's make it even interesting. Let's have each of these games, or not even for me, for all of us. Let's have each of these games count as 4.
Well, here's what I was going to say.
Pete won. I came in second. John came in third.
Here's what I was going to say. Along those lines, it's 12 though. That's just too much.
See, unless Pete and I pick exactly the opposite this week, then he's won.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could assign points to the games, but there's not like
we haven't done it before. We were all 1 game apart last year. No, just
we need like a 1-point game and an 11-point game for John to have a chance.
Who are you taking? We got the Kansas City Chiefs at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm gonna take.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking. I'm taking San Francisco.
In a Cincinnati game?
Yeah. You're going to win this thing, Harry. I'm telling you.
Look, I hope San Francisco wins. I think the Eagles win that game, though.
All right, John.
49ers. I'm agreeing with Jim Magarelli's. They're going 28-26.
I hope Jim Magarelli's correct.
12-game winning streak. The coin says tails.
49ers.
So, Harry, you're on an island.
All right.
All right, Cincinnati, KC.
Go ahead.
Serve it up, guys.
Bengals.
It's got to be the Bengals, right?
God, let's hope
so. Mahomes is not 100%.
Yeah, Mahomes not 100% is like, still better than 99% of all quarterbacks, other than
Joe Cool.
I know.
Kansas City, their offensive line looked good in the running game.
I want to see Kansas City.
Pacheco and
Kansas City's going to run the ball against Cincinnati.
I want to see.
But Cincinnati's going to run the ball against Kansas City though too. So
yeah.
All right, I'm taking KC.
Are you?
I'm taking KC. Yeah, I want to see them win.
All right.
So, given the
your
likely probable actual results from this week,
we might be tied going into the Super Bowl.
We might actually be tied, legitimately so, going into the Super Bowl.
The big game.
All right, let me flip the coin here to see if I'm a winner or a loser, because we know the coin is always wrong. Coin says heads.
All right, coin's taking the Chiefs.
So me and the Chiefs, coin with the Chiefs. You guys would. So there we go. So this is interesting. And John, you could pick up another game on the coin.
I could pick up.
Or no, you could end up staying right where you are because you both took Cincinnati, or you took Cincinnati. You both took San Francisco.
All right. Yeah, so I got one more game: the Clippers against the the Islanders or something. I don't know. No, I'm just joking. These are going to be two good games.
They are.
I hope they are.
Should be interesting. I
don't know what the weather forecast is for Kansas City, but obviously
heavy snow.
Obviously, we figured out that the Bengals can play in the snow,
and that the Bills can't.
Well, look,
as well as the Bengals, anyway.
The quarterbacks that don't turn the ball over win playoff games.
It's interesting. Like, are the Bills going to be like the junior version of the 90s Bills? You know what I mean? They're always kind of knocking on the door, but never get inside.
I'll tell you what, they're going to be good again next year. They'll be just fine.
Of course they are.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. We have a Are They For Real segment tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do. Do we have a theme?
We do.
Or at least part of it. What is real? What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
Is that the NFL?
All right.
Is that a little bit of the NFL piece in there? Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, I guess that whatever this.
Oh, so you didn't mix all this?
No, this is an actual song.
Oh, okay. I thought you mixed all this together.
No, I added the audio clips or the spoken clips, but yes, it's an actual song.
Nice.
I think it's called For Real.
Are they for real?
Yes, they are, and
they're magnificent.
They're spectacular.
All right, so sorry. First up, we talked about baseball. We talked about the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Scott Rowland getting in. We didn't necessarily mention the guy who got in thanks to the Veterans Committee.
We didn't.
McGriff, the crime dog.
Fred McGriff. Some people think he's been overlooked for a long time and he deserves to get in now. Other people say not so much. So, crime dog, is he for real? As in deserving of the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
It's not more deserving than Todd Helton.
No. But is he more deserving on a Veterans Committee level than Scott Rowland is?
Plus, he's played in Toronto, right?
Right.
Wasn't he on a championship team in Toronto?
Was he?
I don't know if he was.
I think he was out there, but I'm saying.
I thought he was.
I'll double check that, and so I'm saying yes, but.
All right, so a couple of yeses for the crime dog. I don't know. I like Fred McGriff, but like he's of an era that, again, and I'm certainly no baseball statistician, but like my take has always kind of been: you hear the guy's name and you go, "Oh yeah," or "No."
Oh yeah.
As far as the whole
He
thing.
was a World Series champion
with
in
the
95.
Braves. With the Braves, he won with the Braves.
Yeah,
not with the Blue Jays. Yeah, I knew he was out of Toronto before they won in '92 and '93, but yeah, with the Braves he won.
He had a couple really, really, really good years.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no though. All right, let's move to the NBA. And we'll talk a little bit about the number 3 team in the West. And that is the Sacramento Kings.
All right.
Who are now currently in 3rd place. Are they for real?
Harry, you first.
I mean, yes.
Because you have a reason to feel one way or another.
Well, I think that they are for real, and I think that you have to give their front office a lot of props for where they're at right now. I mean, I think they've made some hard choices over the last couple of years, and I think that they've done a really good job of kind of building a team on the down low. So, I mean, do I think they're going to stay in the 3rd spot? Who knows? But they're a tough team to play, and I feel like a lot of people, they're a tough team at home, especially because a lot of people catch them towards the end of a road trip. So, Sabonis is fantastic. I mean, they got Harrison Barnes out there, and I mean, I think they're for real. Are they the 3rd best team in the West? At the end of the day, no, but I think they're a playoff team this year.
Sabonis, Barnes, and Dellavedova.
Yeah, well,
Dellavedova, pretty good players.
I think, Dellavedova's kind of six man. He's okay. I mean, he's only averaging a couple points a game, but it's I mean, you got Murray and Barnes and Fox, and yeah, I mean, I think Sabonis is having an all-star type of year.
Yeah, well, there has to be a Sabonis in the league. Like,
I think there's a couple of them.
Always, yeah. There should be.
He's been cloned.
He went to Gonzaga too. One of the first Gonzaga guys to actually do something in the NBA.
It's true. To finally do something.
Sure.
All right.
I'll just echo what, but based on what he said, are they for real as a 3rd place team? Are they for real going to the playoffs? Are they for real in the NBA? Are they for real as competition? Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be in the playoffs. I think they'll be in the play-in, I think.
Yep.
I don't really see them
dropping so far down that they're out of the playoffs. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I don't really.
But I think they're when I say it, make the playoffs. I think they're not gonna just make the playoffs. They'll make noise in the playoffs.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Finally, we'll turn to hockey, and we'll talk about the Edmonton Oilers. Now, just not counting this evening's play, because I don't really know what the schedule is. 4 points out of the lead in the Pacific Division.
Is Grant Fuhr back?
Winners of 6 in a row. Yeah. So, are they for real?
They are in.
Who cares?
You got Vegas.
They're in 6th right now.
Clippers
in
Seattle,
the Western.
Yeah, and Edmonton in the Pacific.
Yeah, in the Pacific.
Yes, only Dallas and Winnipeg.
Dallas and Winnipeg are above them in the Central.
In the Central, yep.
Pass.
So,
no, okay.
I don't
Who knows? I mean, yeah, every hockey team's for real.
They've won 6 games in a row. There were 6-game winning streaks. So I mean, are they going to be there at the end of the season? Probably. Are they for real when it really comes down to it? No. They might not. They might not get out of the first round. They may. If they do, they're not going much further. So not so much. Not as much as the Kings are for real in the NBA West.
Oh, those are fighting words.
Two
exciting towns, though. If you've ever been to Sacramento or Edmonton, boy.
Right.
I'm going to say Edmonton is for real.
Okay.
They're plus 22 in goals, which is tied for first in the Pacific, and I think tied for third in the Western Division. And here's the number that sticks out to me: 15-7-1 on the road. Playing good hockey on the road.
Playing good hockey on the road. Yeah,
I think they're for real.
There you go.
And that's it.
That's it. I'll throw one out for the two of you. Stay in hockey. Are the New Jersey Devils for real?
I've never seen the Jersey Devil in person, but I heard it's for real.
That is the New Jersey Devil for real. Are the New Jersey Devils for real?
Not really.
They've played 47 games. They're 31-12-4 with 66 points. Carolina is ahead of them by percentage points, 29-9-8, because they've lost 3 less games, and have 4 more overtime ties. Overtime wins points. But in any event, they're both 66 points. They've and talk about playing well on the road. They've gone 18-2-2 on the road. So I would say,
for me, that's the benchmark there for real.
I would say that
they're right there. They're right there in the top of the East. So I mean,
I would say that when I say I'm talking to Pete. When I say your New Jersey Devils are for real, I think they're for real too. Yeah.
I think they are.
Go Devils!
Devils! Rangers are right behind them, and the Islanders are.
Rangers are right there. Rangers are 6 points back. They're in third place in the Metropolitan.
Islanders are 6th in the Eastern, so who knows?
Islanders
have all 3 area teams in the old.
Islanders have 6 less points than the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, how about that?
Fair enough.
Cool. All right.
Well, there you have it. All right. So, now does that cover our NBA and hockey talk for?
God, I hope so.
For the evening, I do want to mention one thing as far as the Knicks go. That was a pretty damn good game that Julius Randle had yesterday against the Cavs.
Actually, I have a very interesting stat about Julius Randle for you guys.
Go sure.
I heard this today. Let me see. I got it listed here somewhere. Julius Randle with a double-double last night. How many double-doubles do you think he has in his last 22 games?
2.
20. 20 double-doubles in his last 22 games.
20 double-doubles in his last 20 games. That's
pretty good.
Yeah, I was going with the 2 that he didn't, the 2 games that he did.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
He's had a lot. He's had a lot. He's been playing really good. Jalen Brunson has been slowing down a bit. RJ Barrett's been holding together, but they're just like, they lost what? They lost 4 in a row after Mitchell Robinson was out. Kind of almost the same kind of deal with KD leaving the Nets. Mitchell Robinson is the KD of the Knicks. Anyway,
you want to know an interesting fact about Julius Randle last night?
What's that?
36 points, obviously 13 rebounds, 4 assists, -10. The entire Knicks starting 5 were either 0, -10, -9, -11, and -10. Their bench won them the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's got to happen sometimes.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right, here's an interesting little factoid.
What's that?
So, Lakers lost to the Clippers, who have now beaten said Lakers 10 times in a row that they have played. That is the longest streak by any team of wins against the Lakers since the Toronto Raptors won 11 straight games between 2015 and 2020. So the Clippers owning the Lakers right now, which isn't saying much because this ain't Showtime.
Right.
Also, LeBron had 46 points in that game, and he has now scored at least 40 points against every single NBA team at some point during his career, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Oh, and a quick yes or no.
Yeah, go for it.
Word now that Kevin Durant may actually return to
this season
before the All-Star game.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that. Wow.
So I heard this today. So the question is, should he play in the All-Star game?
No.
No, I think not. Absolutely not.
Absolutely
Although
not.
some people
he
would
should
say,
go wave high, sit down.
Although some people would say, oh, well, look, it's an exhibition game. It's not going to be rough. Nobody plays defense anyway. Give him a chance to shake off some of the rust. I just kind of think, now this is a very...
Kevin Durant, there's not much rust.
This is kind of a... Right, number one. It's kind of like a very... Like you're asking for something to go wrong if you do that.
Right. So, Harry?
I don't care.
The same as Pete with the Jets. I don't care. It's the change it to the Get On With It podcast. Said, I don't care. But
he's not going to listen to us anyway. I mean, watching an NBA All-Star game is just like I think it's for kids. So I don't know who enjoys it. It's just horrible. Remember when they actually used to play a little bit? I don't know.
You do?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
As long as they have players that no one knows in the dunk contest again, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I think for basketball, that's kind of the way that game should be, though.
Yeah.
Put up some half-court shots, get out there, have some fun.
160 to 180 final score.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because it's an exhibition.
If I'm a coach of any team, I'm not letting my All-Stars play at all. I mean, that's my thought on the whole game.
Yeah.
But,
Scrooge.
Kawhi Leonard's going to start, but he's going to be kept out for rest.
Yeah. He's going to
load management.
48 seconds, and then
he's good.
He'll be done for the day.
He'll go in twice, take 2 shots, be sitting down 2 different times.
I wonder if Kyrie will say anything anti-Semitic right before the game.
Stranger things have happened.
Maybe during.
Maybe during.
So, all right. We good?
I'm good.
I'm good.
See you next month.
You good, Pete?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. On that note, we'll wrap up the show for today. I want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night, usually around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time or so. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy NFL Championship weekend, or Sunday, I should say. It's not the whole weekend. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.